I wanted to do some other news-related thing. We're gonna do the Young Turks. We're gonna do Planned Parenthood shooters. Yeah.
More
And this is one
information
that a lot of
on...
people have talked about. Yeah.
This ought to
They
be
have,
good.
yeah. Okay, so, you remember the Planned Parenthood shooting that was, like, in November?
Yeah, of course.
This video came out, like, last week.
Well, that's just pitiful.
They brought this up again. Why? We're gonna find out why. We're gonna find out why this, of all topics, now decided to come up. I'm just gonna let them reveal it.
This ought to be good.
The Planned Parenthood shooter has been shared with the media in heavily redacted reports, and I thought it would be important to give that information to you guys. Now, the shooter was Robert Louis Deere, and he went to a Planned Parenthood clinic and proceeded to shoot and kill individuals simply because he is against the reproductive rights of women.
I love the way that she phrases that.
Yeah, that's completely bullshit.
Yeah, well, it's not only like he's against abortion. You can't just say that. No, 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 no. The way you have to phrase it is the reproductive rights of women.
He was, yeah, I hate how it's classified that way sometimes. Like, you can point to some legitimate cases, but in the case of this guy, he had the right-wing rhetoric, he had some religious conviction, he was off his rocker fucking crazy.
I mean, you can see from the photographs, he's not mentally stable.
Yeah, there is a concoction of elements that went into this attack, but they're going to try to simplify it here.
Yeah, I mean, you can pretty
extremely
clearly
poorly.
see madness in his eyes.
No, he looks perfectly fine.
Deere is accused of
Insane.
killing 3 people, a police officer and 2 civilians, and faces 179 felony charges. Thankfully, this man is...
Well, luckily, here in America, that's a right-wing, white, Christian, supremacist group. There's no way he's going to get convicted of any of this, right? And there's no way anyone would discuss his activities in a negative light. I mean, we'd obviously support him, right? Like the Palestinians do.
The white, considering how powerful white supremacist groups are in America, I'm amazed that this doesn't happen very often. It's almost like there aren't that many, but, we know that's not true. It's America.
Yeah.
I like how she's reporting this. Like, we know, Anna, this happened months ago.
Yeah, they're professional Googlers, dude. This is not her reporting. They have to cite the fact that it's CNN. They didn't do
An actual
anything
news
here.
source.
They never do anything. They're useless.
Even Al Jazeera has reporters. Jesus.
Seriously.
is in custody. He was never referred to as a terrorist except for on our show, and the reason why he's a terrorist fits any...
What the fuck?
Oh my god.
You have to be fucking shitting me. No, Anna, everyone called him a terrorist. I don't know a single person who didn't.
Yeah,
He's
for
a
real.
terrorist. Sure.
And it's not really relevant because it's not like we're searching for the rest of his cabal either, so.
Yeah, he's a lone wolf. On the terrorist list, he's classified as a lone wolf.
Yeah, and
This-
if that makes you guys feel better, there you go.
This attack is listed there.
I don't think it's strictly relevant in this case, but okay, if it makes you feel better, there you go.
This attack is also listed among hundreds of Islamic attacks, just to clarify. Just pointing that out.
definition, regardless of what you think or whether you think you have to have some sort of religious doctrine behind your actions to be considered a terrorist. So let me give you the details on that and why I think he is one.
Who has ever said you had to have religious doctrines to be a terrorist?
The definition specifically includes political motives as well.
Yeah, who's ever said that? No one. What we say is that right now, in the world, most of the terrorism is committed for religious purposes by a specific group. That's all we're saying. That seems to make you uncomfortable, but...
You know who's watching? Devin's
I
watching.
know. I've seen him in the chat.
Yeah, that's actually where I got this video. He made a pretty excellent response to it.
Yeah, I know. You're crooking him at this point, but that's fine.
You know, I do that to everyone. It's whatever.
Yeah, it's resource gathering. That's what it is.
That's a fancy way to put it.
That's what they're doing.
So Deere came to the clinic with 8 guns. He brought 4 SKS rifles with him inside the building and left 2 handguns, a shotgun, and a rifle inside his truck. Now, what's interesting...
That honestly sounds like that dude just drives around with those.
Yeah, they were just in his tank.
No, I mean, in all seriousness, I would actually gamble that most of those guns he just drives around with. Like, seriously, he's that kind of woodsy lunatic. I've known these guys. Some of them just have that many guns in their car. It's just what they do.
Yeah, and he left a lot of them in his car. I don't know why, but I guess he brought what he thought he needed, and
it was well thought out.
Just in case he gets driven back to the parking lot. Oh, I have extra guns.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think it was ever into the 2 handguns and shotgun, and yeah, that stuff was just in his car, dude. That's why they're not describing the handguns or the rifle. I mean, they note that they really wanted to emphasize the SKSs, which, by the way, can be modified into AK-47s, like, overnight. They look and act just like AK-47s. Which is why they emphasize the SKS portion of the rifles, wherein more than likely what you're talking about in the car is a revolver, a standard handgun, a normal Mossberg shotgun, and a hunting rifle. Really, really, really inconspicuous stuff where he's from. No, really, it's Colorado. It's really inconspicuous shit out there.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
He didn't plan on just shooting people. He planned on blowing or bombing the facility
Yes,
up.
and he has technical knowledge to do
He brought multiple propane
it.
tanks to the clinic and told authorities that he believed they would explode if he shot them.
Fucking Mythbusters debunked this shit. I mean, it's not. It's fairly well known that that's some weird, like, fucking Hollywood nonsense. It's nobody in their right mind believes this.
Most of these guys who try to build like explosives, they usually don't work.
Yeah, exactly. The vast majority of the time.
Backwoods, like Hicks, they don't know. They don't have any clue. Like the Columbine kids couldn't build working bombs. You know what? We might as well bring that up too. That's just as relevant as bringing this story up again.
Yeah, it's terrorism. It was white kids committing terrorism for ideological purposes or something.
Hey, Hagar, do you remember Timothy McVeigh, Hagar?
I know. Do you remember the Unabomber? I mean, that was...
Hey, what about Elliot Rodgers? You know, I heard he was a misogynist.
And a terrorist. And he was clearly a terrorist, too.
You know, it's a lot of white guys on this list. The theater shooter, another Colorado incident.
I'm just saying, there's something in the water there, man.
I'm just connecting the dots. Hey, look, I'm just saying. A lot of white guys.
Deer could be seen setting up propane tanks near vehicles outside the Planned Parenthood building. He told authorities he shot the propane tanks during...
And I never bring up Anders, unlike Devin's in the chat. He brought up Anders. It's not fair, just because he's like the most successful killer. I mean, he literally just wandered in somewhere and killed, like, what, 50 some odd people? Just like, here you go, whap, 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 whap. Like, he's just knocking them off, dude. One dude just walked in and knocked a bunch of people off, and he's only going to do like 15 years because of the way Norwegian prisons work.
Jack the Ripper was white.
This is true. We theorized that Jack the Ripper was white.
Okay, so we have all of these Muslim terrorists, and we also have Jack the Ripper. But Jack the Ripper has to count for something. He's famous. His name is in history. So we can weigh that against all the Muslim terrorists. I think that's how that works.
Exactly.
The standoff, but they didn't explode. So let's get into...
Oh, and I love it because what they mean when they say that, oh, it's white terrorism, it's like, so when I say Muslim, you just hear brown.
Yep.
Like, that's in your head.
They're fucking racist.
That's in your head, Schnookums.
To some of the religious elements of this and, what inspired him to do what he did. Deer told one of the detectives interviewing him that his dream was that he had died, or that when he died, he would be met at the gates of heaven by aborted fetuses. They would then thank Deer for his actions, saying that he saved the lives of other unborn fetuses.
At least that doesn't sound like the ravings of a complete madman.
That's completely rational, and we don't need to take his mental health history into consideration. This is a white terrorist. Add it to the white terrorism list. Add another check mark.
Yeah.
There we go.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Jesus.
During his interview with police, Deer called President Barack Obama the Antichrist and cited Bible verses
Oh
that
shit!
he claimed
It was the Messiah.
The Messiah
I knew
is
it.
next. That's what happens when he snaps and finally goes and kills people. We'll
the
know.
tantric messiah as a shooter.
Oh, can you imagine? Can you imagine the interview
can-
afterwards? His stuttering, stammering speech as he's like, I just do the, and I study the tantric, Buddhism, and, I mean, can you imagine
No,
that?
He'd be like, I was bringing about the apocalypse.
I was afraid the apocalypse was coming.
No, who's going to do it first is going to be James Jackson, greatest martial artist ever.
Backed up that statement. He recited Bible quotes numerous times throughout the interview. So
Okay.
this man identifies as a Christian. Is this man...
I hate that they always, that phrase needs to die. If I'm
He
in my
identifies.
70s and I'm still hearing people say that they identify as, I'm going to go on a killing spree. I mean, I'm not going to be able to handle this for that much longer. This is insanity, constantly saying that people identify as things.
I never had this problem, you know, and I've never had this problem of apologizing for faith either. When I was a Christian, I was really, it was a conviction. Like, it was true, it was perfect, it was divine. I didn't identify as a Christian, I was a Christian. That's how that works.
Exactly.
I don't understand how you can just, like, I identify as this. Like, you shouldn't be able to say that about anything. Are you this or are you not?
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like, well, then they also don't want to play the game that, you know, then in that case, then there are people that identify as Muslim that do these things. Oh, but they're not real Muslim. It's an immediate kick reaction to that. They can't handle the same thing being applied to the group that they feel the need to protect. It's laughable.
Yeah,
it's really fun.
Anna's completely fine. She's like, well, you know, Deer identified as a Christian, and here's some verses from the Bible he was inspired by. Okay, so people who are Muslim, could they be inspired by the Quran? Well, actually, it's a little more complicated than that. You see, there's this whole geopolitical spectrum bullshit. Like, no. I like how easy it is. Like, oh, Christian, white guy, killed some people. It must have been, yeah, it was Christian. Muslims, ooh. Yeah, let's find a way to spin this.
Yeah, let's make this about how it's not Muslim.
even close to representing the majority of Christians? No. Is this man a terrorist? Absolutely. If someone was a Muslim inspired by their religion and they carried out a horrific act of violence like this, we would immediately call them a terrorist, right? Because it is...
No, you don't. You guys struggle with that, ironically.
Yeah, there is that. They also seem to struggle with representative of all Muslims. No, the reason people say that about Muslims is because there are a great deal of Muslims who support terrorism. Now the guy Deer, is he acting in accordance with the will of Christianity? Sure, you can make an argument for that. But, you know, I think that the link's a little more tenuous here. There are actually parts of the Bible that seem to condone abortion.
Yes, there
you know?
are.
So you can't make a direct connection between this attack and Christianity as well as you could make a direct connection between Islamic terrorism and the direct calls to violence in the Quran and the Hadiths. Just
fueled
saying.
by religious doctrine. Now, all sorts of crazy people do crazy things that are fueled by their religious doctrine. That doesn't mean that they're representatives of everyone within their community or everyone who follows the same religious doctrine. As we've
thank
said,
you, Anna. Wow, what insight! I didn't know. I had no idea.
Yeah, this is where they're pretending to be
shit.
reporters. You know what's terrifying? I bet right as soon as cameras close, this gets used for tweeting. I mean, as soon as they go set clear, this thing gets snatched up and is just, I bet it's already got alerts going on it. I bet she's just waiting for more social interaction.
Oh God, it's embarrassing.
ad nauseum on the show, there are different interpretations of the same religious text, okay? You can criticize that text, that's completely fine, but antagonizing the people that follow that religious doctrine does nothing to solve whatever problems we have in society, right?
Do you not understand the fact that they can be antagonized is kind of the problem?
Yeah, if you're so offended by criticism or confrontation on your faith, you are part of the problem. At that point, you are a fundamentalist. You're so tuned into it. That is such a ridiculous fucking statement. So basically, are we not allowed to what does that even mean? Does antagonize encompass criticizing? Does it encompass being confrontational about this? Like, too bad, Anna. Of course people are going to be confrontational about this. We don't like religion. We don't like when people follow their religion.
And I'm not entitled to do so. I can do that.
Yeah, First Amendment, bitch.
All right, that's enough of these guys.
Oh no, it's just about to get good.
Okay,
Hagbar.
fair enough.
I'm glad that they
just
got this guy.
good.
I'm glad that he's going to suffer the consequences. He's crazy. And when the Center for Medical Progress released those stupid, heavily edited so-called sting videos, well, they inspired lunatics like this man to carry out terrible acts of violence.
And
So wait,
hopefully...
Oh god.
Oh, I remember this. This is where they finally step into the realm of blaming people for inspiration, which is always a good
I'll say
idea.
this. I like how this point is brought up. So basically, what you're saying, Anna, is that maybe the videos that came out from the the Center for Medical Progress, that bogus organization, maybe they're more responsible than the Bible or Christianity for this attack. Maybe there are other things beyond this, and you're trying to make a direct link to Christianity with this attack is like laughable and complete bullshit.
Yeah,
That's
well,
a bigger culprit in my mind.
that's what Anna does.
Ugh. She refutes her own points like 2 seconds later.
They will go to prison for what they've done, and if you think that the Constitution and the freedom of speech protects these assholes at the Center for Medical Progress, you are wrong, because it's slander and it incites hate.
It's
I
not
hate this guy.
technically it's not slander, it's libel. But okay.
He's trying to act like he knows what he's talking about. Okay, so quick question to everyone, and to you, Hagbard, as well. This guy, in my opinion, is the worst person to have ever been on the Young Turks.
What,
Easily.
the denim shirt guy here?
Yeah, fuck this guy.
Yeah, he's a nightmare.
Like, it feels like it's one of those cases they just let someone in off the street. Hey, come do the news with us. The news, in quotes.
Seriously.
Ugh.
Well, I think the core of the story for me was that things that are not weapons can still be dangerous. You know, text. I'm a Christian. My father is an Episcopal priest. My faith is very important to me.
You must be a terrorist.
You know what I mean?
It's a
That's the
religious
thing.
doctrine. When are we going to talk about extreme Christian terrorism in this country?
Because it
When there's more of it.
When it's actually relevant.
Yeah.
No, we don't think because you're a Christian that you're a terrorist. We just think you're a moron. Like, that's it. That's where the conversation goes at that point.
Yeah, I just think you're dead wrong. I can.
Especially because she's a lesbian Christian. At that point, it's like, what the fuck?
Oh, another. Is this the counter Milo? Is that what this is? They've created a counter Milo. He's a gay Catholic that only prefers black penis, and she's gonna be a lesbian, Protestant that only prefers, I don't know, Hispanic. I don't know. She's bound to put it together somehow.
I think you were getting an insight into Hagbard's fantasies.
Yikes.
exists.
When are we going to talk about it?
No, well, I'm just saying that, look at it. It exists. This guy took the same book that I grew up reading and then warped it into something that it is not. It's the same thing that gets thrown at me for being a gay Christian. You know, it happens all over. And it's the same thing with the Center for Medical Progress. They put out a video. You don't think, it's not dangerous. It's not a bomb. Okay. But look at what it did. It does incite violence.
Yes.
You know,
she just mentioned, oh, they're trying to make this argument like, oh, there's different interpretations, and this gets thrown at me because I'm a gay Christian. And,
there's no different interpretation of the Bible about homosexuality, sweetheart.
There is, I mean, like, I've actually had this conversation with some people, because there's the story of Lot. It's in the Bible, it's in the Quran, it's in a lot of places. And some people try to link that, like, oh, the Bible's anti-homosexuality, because all the gay men in Sodom and Gomorrah got destroyed. It's like, okay, well, you can make an interpretation of that, but you cannot interpret a direct call to kill homosexuals. You cannot. There's something.
No, that's in the Old
that Paul
Testament.
said. Yeah, and there's something. Well, no, there's something that Paul said about homosexuals being an abomination, and it also, that's the only time in the Bible where lesbians are mentioned, saying the women traded their natural use, or something along those lines. That's in the New Testament. They can't deny that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I hate this. It's like this Reza Aslan bullshit. Like, oh, we can have you can bring what you want to faith. Each faith has one very specific interpretation.
Yeah, and it's really
These
not a
are-
relevant argument. That can be said about absolutely everything. These people just don't want to take stances. They don't like any strong stance makes them
Fence
uncomfortable.
sitters. Well, I mean, would it make sense to have an ideology that is supposed to lead you to paradise? To be, oh, you can go astray on this. Like you can just interpret it willy nilly. No.
Yeah,
These-
loosely
these
interpret
are
the text. That's obviously what it calls for.
These are strict ideologies that were used to control people, you dipshit.
Exactly.
And the Bible can
garbage.
incite violence depending on whatever crazy is reading it. And I think that to me was what is at the core of this. It's not guns, it's not bombs. Those are also dangerous, but words and videos and images affect people. And look at what can happen.
Okay, I am out before she starts talking about reforming freedom of speech. Holy fuck.
You know, there's this thing called freedom of speech. I think we should really do something about that.
Holy fuck. Yeah, we should really find a way to limit these words somehow. I don't know how, but these words are just I'm not really comfortable with these words.